Hello, disc golf fans, and welcome to the conclusion of the 2017 Idlewild Open. We have a tight battle between James Conrad and Paul McBeth, followed by Nate Perkins and James Snappy Cole. And we have a tight battle. They're tied at 13 under par apiece, and I believe Nate is at 9 under. We got big, rad Uli commentary team, myself, Jeremy Koling, joined by James Conrad and Paul Ulibarri. Let's get things started here with hole 10.
Yeah, hole 10, one of the signature holes, I feel like, on the course. It really sets the mood for what the back nine brings to you. Tight wooded hole, slightly uphill. You really have to hit this initial gap if you're gonna. Oh.
Yeah, that's not that uncommon. And if this is a signature hole, this is a sloppy signature because there are a lot of trees. And it's not a bad hole, but it's just, I would like to have somebody at some point count the number of trees in this hole. There are dozens. I'd even say hundreds probably. You got some stats here for this hole?
We do. It averages out at 3.47, so almost half a stroke over par, which you can see why after watching the first two people on our card hit early trees. It's almost impossible to get a 3 from there, but I was able to split the gap and get right up there inside the circle, so I was thrilled with that.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's a huge break right there, especially with the tight battles going on between you and Paul. Kicking left, kicking right, really kicking anywhere besides dead center is just death on this hole. And you see Nate played this way all 3 rounds, played a safe shot, didn't want to give himself one of those bad kicks, so all he's trying to do is hit that initial gap and give him some way of getting up and down for his 3.
That's great golf from Nate. Just play to his strengths, hit the gap, get up there, make an easy par on a hole that plays over par for most people.
Yeah, like I said, this that initial gap as professionals, you know, we hit that. That's our main objective. Get through that first gap, and then you know that par is possible after that. And you get off to the edge, and you really don't have much.
And
Paul's one of the best scramblers in the world, and you can tell he's having a tough time once you get off the fairway on this hole. So
and he's doing the best he can. There's not like he had a gap to go for. If you're off to the left, the only thing you can do is pitch out sideways and just pray you get your 4.
That's what Snappy did. He pitched up to the middle, then threw a nice up shot up the gap, set himself up for a 4, which is really the best you could hope for from that drive.
The worst thing you can do is try to go for your 3 from there, because then you set yourself up for the 5 or maybe even worse. And Paul's got about a circle 2 edge, just outside circle 2's edge putt for his bogey, which he does not make, and now he's got to settle for a double bogey. Kind of derails all the momentum he's built from the front 9.
Yeah, I was kind of licking my chops at that point, so to speak. I know he's sitting there for 5, and I got a good bit at 2, but couldn't quite get it high enough putting uphill from the straddle.
That would have been one of the rare 2s. There were only 8 2s all weekend on this hole. That's
correct. I know you got one, Germ. I was able to get one as well, and Yuli, all 3 of us.
Okay, well, there you go. Well, we could tell you how to do it, but I could also tell you how not to do it, because I came back second round with a 5.
Oh.
So I didn't really expect to come away with a 2 on this hole. I was really happy that I did on the first round, but think about that. 8 2s all weekend. There are 88 players in this field, 3 rounds. That means there's 264 shots at this, and only 8 times that somebody executed it and got the 2.
And that would have been incredible if you could have got 2 2s on this hole.
That would have, especially with
been the only guy
with Paul getting a 5 there, getting 3 strokes on Paul is pretty much unheard of on one hole. It would have been.
But even with the 3, you know, now you have a 2-shot lead over Paul, and any lead over Paul is good.
That's
at
right.
This point.
Yeah, and things get interesting. Things get interesting after this hole, maybe, because this is pretty much a do or die. You must birdie this one. In this situation where you guys are, you step up to this hole, 3 is not an option. It's right there in front of you, 190 something feet, and if you're not picking up a 2 here, you are losing a stroke.
No doubt. The hole averaged in over half a stroke under par. It was tied with hole 4 as the easiest 2 holes. But for being a par 3, you definitely want that 2. 2s are hard to come by out here. And I did my job on it. I hit the gap, left myself inside 15 feet or so that's all I'm looking for.
And Nate is giving this a bit of a run there. Wow, great shot he really shows an incredible amount of touch with his forehand. It's impressive to see a player who can throw the touch, hyzer flip straight forehand, and he's got a really nice touch for that shot.
And even though he's a few back of the lead, this back nine is brutal.
It's still
and
anyone's game,
yeah, he's
no
still
doubt.
not out of it, and he's keeping his composure, and he's thrown a few really good shots on the last couple holes. So.
And so far we've seen 3 dead center shots right down the middle of the fairway, and that will be a 4th. I don't think Paul's laying that one up. He's aced it twice, and he hits the band there, or
He
the
actually
box.
hit the basket on the band. If you watch it flying in, you can kind of see the basket on the elevator, but that's right where his disc hit. Like, boom!
Oh, he aced it!
Yeah, aced that basket.
He got a disc golf pro tour ace. Wow, and he was the furthest away at 4 feet. That's really impressive grouping there. I mean, you don't expect to see all 4 players throw it so clean. Usually somebody has to scramble a little bit. I mean, the trees are just tight enough that somebody's probably going to hit it, but this lead card showed why they're on the lead card last round, and everybody's going to tap in their 2s here.
Yep, all made it pretty routine that round, which is good. I had not done that the first 2 rounds, unfortunately, so I was glad to at least get this one once.
That was your first birdie in the hole.
It was.
I only had 1 birdie in his last round as well, so I feel your pain on that one. So going through, no damage done for the lead card. Everybody comes away with the 2, and on to hole 13, or hole 12 actually, excuse me, hole 12, which played about half stroke over par, I believe.
It did.
Yeah.
Definitely a tough hole. I think it's a really good golf hole, though. You have options. You can try to bite off a lot off the tee, or you can play it straight and a little safer. And then the upshot, even with a perfect tee shot, is pretty touchy. It's kind of on a down slope and pretty well guarded. It's a good golf hole. It's very challenging, but pretty fair, I'd say.
Oh, absolutely. I think that the fairway, the initial gap off the fairway is tight, but it's wide enough that it's fair. It's just always so much fun to play a course where you have these wooded fairways, tight wooded fairways like this, and then grassy fairways the whole way. It's just so beautiful. It looks really good for disc golf, and that right there was a glorious looking drive, an unfortunate extra roll. It's going to make it a little bit tougher for his second shot.
Still in a solid position, though. Again, Nate was just showing that smooth forehand, just hit the gap dead center, got the skip, just what you want.
And that is a really nice kick there for James. If that's a couple inches off to the left, maybe he's in the woods and has to pitch out and save a really tough bogey. This looks a bit tight there for Paul.
Yeah, Paul and I both hit a little early right side. It's just not a mistake you can really afford to make on that hole. Like I was saying, this hole's really tough, and to hit early is not acceptable, not if you're trying to win this thing.
And he's pitching up to just about 40, 50 feet short of where you want to be on your drive, and that really shows how difficult of a spot he was in. And you kind of get off there a little bit too tight there. I see you trying to cut the corner and maybe make the approach a little bit easier, but
yeah, I got a little feisty on that one. Didn't land myself in the best position.
And Snappy with another nice kick there to kind of correct his shot. He is going to be looking inside circle 2 for a long putt for birdie, which is, I mean, when a hole's playing half a stroke over par, that's a bonus.
And Paul's actually in perfect position right there to. He did exactly what he needed to do when he got off the fairway. He put it in the middle, but even saws that one off left, and the camera really doesn't give it justice. That's a tiny window that he's trying to get through on, and the angle is very difficult.
And James is going to come up short as well. It looks like our 2 leaders are going to be having to settle for bogey at best, which opens the door for the rest of the field. If anybody can take advantage, we can see Nate here with a beautiful standstill.
His foot slipped out from under him, and he still just threw an amazing shot.
Wow.
Didn't let it work him, and he put it right in there inside circle 1 for a look at birdie.
I mean, he's way inside circle 1. He's inside 12 feet there, that's the closest I saw anyone get in 2 shots all weekend on this hole. And James is now you're going to have a long putt.
Yeah, that was a terrible. I was just trying to lay up for take my medicine, take the bogey, but I just doinked it, just a mental lapse.
Yeah, the whole weekend, all 3 rounds, I only saw one birdie on this hole. Very difficult to get into that circle.
And here's James look for birdie. And just off to the left side, it looked like.
That actually you couldn't see, but rolled all the way outside of circle 1 down the hill behind the basket.
No.
And then I was so blocked off there from where my bad approach had landed that I literally had nothing but a pitch out.
Wow, so double bogey coming up here for James.
Snappy.
Wow. And second time we've seen him go with the SloMez. Again, I don't know if that's actually slowed down or if that's the real-time hyzer for Snappy, but makes good on that long putt with the unfortunate roll away. Great par save. And that's a huge birdie right there. That brings him right back into the mix. The double bogey and a bogey for Paul. Double bogey for James, bogey for Paul, and Nate steps up.
Yeah, he gained 5 strokes on the 2 of us combined. I think it tied him up with Paul and only 1 off of me, so it made it anyone's ball game again.
Wow, and that's the way you take advantage of an opportunity. Now he's back in the mix. I'm sure he's feeling like all the momentum is going for him now.
No doubt, he was pumped up right then.
And that's the thing about this back nine. No lead is safe. Going back here, I mean, this is probably. Do we have any stats for this hole? Because I have to guess that this is the hardest hole according to par.
This hole did play the hardest to par. It averaged 1.11 strokes over par around 3. So for a par 3 to average 4.1 is pretty crazy. There's a 1-2 on the hole all weekend, only 1 birdie on the hole, and that was by Grady Shue.
Shout out to Charlotte, North Carolina.
From about 50 feet out, apparently.
And this is actually a double mando. You see the Y there. So off the tee, you have to navigate through there, beat all these trees, and then get into position to throw over this creek.
And then, oh yeah, miss the creek.
And it looked like Nate hit early. Did he actually make the mando there, or did he miss it?
He did. He hit high on the mando tree and kicked through it to the left side. He was inbounds, but not in a good position.
Paul just fillets.
Yeah, that is.
Shot, it looks like.
That is filet mignon, but maybe a bit too far. But it looked like he might have skipped through the corner and give himself an outside look for the long 2. And that is safe.
Safe. It was close. I just barely caught the inside corner and was lucky to land inbounds.
And that is wow. He was in such a bad spot. He had to lay out almost backwards to give himself a long shot at the approach, and that is a pretty good approach there. He's getting himself inside about 45, 50 feet.
Yeah, that angle the corner is a weird angle. To get as close as he did was really remarkable.
Yeah.
And you're just playing position golf here at this point. You know that there's probably no way to get to the island, and if you do, there's so much danger that you're probably just laying up trying to give yourself a long look.
Right, yeah, I think I landed maybe 40 feet, and that's really all I was hoping for, to give myself a chance to save 3.
And James says, I don't want any of that, doesn't even think about running for it, lays it up, and he's got about, let's say, 90 to 100 feet here. And another layup there, and he's trying to attack that. That's one of the fun things about this hole, is that you can run this one without much worry, because that hillside is just going to stop your disc. You can't go too far past on this hole.
Yeah, and short of the basket is out of bounds, but long for the viewer is actually, that's all safe. So those barriers deep aren't the OB line.
And Paul, gosh, I mean, is there anything more Paul-like than to hit the band from 80 feet routinely? Like, just dead center square.
Especially after Nate and I had not great performances on the hole. If he had been able to capitalize with the 2 there, it would have been pretty huge.
And there's a 4 there for James, and that's going to be a tie atop the lead there for Paul and James now. And Nate's going to have to suffer a couple strokes there. I believe he's taking a 5.
Yes.
And a 4 there for you, James. And now we've got a tie atop the lead.
And then Nate's still only 2 back.
And with the holes coming up, 2 is not many strokes to be behind.
lifetime warranty, and 1% back to the planet. Tempercraft USA. Temper your thirst.
Coming down the stretch here, we're on hole 14, 556 feet, par 4. And this hole plays so difficult if you can't throw this forehand around the corner. I know we played together first round, James, and you threw a turnover with your AVR and you were way down there around the corner. But for most players, that gap is so hard to hit unless you have a very accurate forehand shot.
I think it's hard to hit regardless of what kind of shot you have. It's
Right.
It's probably the tightest gap we have to hit off the tee on the whole course, and you can see that ball wasn't too far off, but if you're off at all, it's probably not going clean.
And with these skinny trees that make gaps, it makes for the kicks are so much more unpredictable. And you pure it and you get that roll away, which is gonna happen most of the time with that putter Anheuser shot, but that's a good spot to be in.
Yeah, it's a fine spot. It's got through the initial gap, over the edge of the hill a little bit. It's pretty much all I'm looking for.
And that's picture perfect for Nate. Shoot, that might be the best drive that I've seen.
Yeah, that was
on a hole.
great position to attack the hole for birdie.
Yeah, his accuracy with the forehand is really on display this weekend. And just an inch off. I mean, within 3 or 4 inches from perfection, and now, I mean, look, he kicked so hard left, and it's just like, how can I save a bogey at this point almost? And early trees,
I
he's
like
kicked
that.
down. Yeah,
I like that.
That's not going to help.
And Paul's just trying to get to the bottom of the hill and save par if he can.
Yeah, if you hit
Really
early,
good
that's...
shot. I think that's all he had. 200-foot shot up over the water to save par.
This is one of the many holes in the course that averaged over par. This one averaged 4.41, and that's just under a half stroke over par. And anytime you have a course or any holes that average over par, you can just tell how difficult they are, and this is certainly no different.
So talk about this upshot, James. It doesn't look like you have a bunch, but you do get aggressive and you're successful in going over. What were you looking at?
I had a small hyzer line. I'd actually landed in a nearly identical place the day before, so I had hit it once. Didn't end up working out well the day before. I hit that bank and fell into the creek, but I just made sure to give it enough gas to clear the creek, and I figured if I missed my line, most of the trees were shy of the creek. It would get knocked down, pitch up for 4. But I wasn't even attacking the pin, just playing to the left side of the green was really my only chance.
And Nate makes the hole look super easy.
Very
It's
easy.
a drop-in 3, but that's what happens. If you can get down off the tee, it makes the hole so much easier.
And I mean, even then, you still have these trees you have to get past down towards the green. But when you get that far off the tee, those gaps start opening up, getting a lot wider here. And we have a putt here for a huge momentum swing in your favor. And just over the rim and dead center, and that's a great birdie there for James to pick up.
Yeah, I was very happy about that one, especially knowing Paul didn't pick up that birdie. Anytime you can get a stroke late on the, I think that gave me the lead back by 1, so I was in a good position.
Now, James, how during your round are you thinking about Paul's score, or are you just playing the course? I'm curious to see where your mindset was at this particular time. Are you noticing what he's doing, or are you just trying to stick to your game plan and finish the round?
I'd say it's a little bit of a combination. I have a general game plan, but in my mind, coming down the home stretch, you got to be playing the card a little bit. You got to be aware of what the scores are at. You got to know what it takes. So I was trying to keep that in mind, but then clear my mind the time the shots came, and just execute the shot.
And we have 2 strokes separating the top 3 players, and coming to hole 15, another par 4 that averages over par, averaged 4.34, and again, a bunch of tiny trees. And with these tiny trees, the kicks become erratic, and it's hard to really predict exactly what you can do. So the best play is just don't hit trees.
That's the goal.
If you can not hit trees, then you'll be doing much better.
And what are you throwing off the tee there?
It's a really flippy Thunderbird I have in my bag. It's G-Star plastic, and I can throw nice smooth hyzer flips with it. I ended up catching that last tree on the left you got to beat, but that's not a bad one to hit. I squared it up and dropped in the middle.
Looks like Nate gets that a little high,
Yeah.
leaking right, but he did hit the initial gap, which is good, so he's up the fairway a ways.
It's gonna be a pretty tough second shot for him. You really want to leak out to the left side, kind of where Paul's
Just
going.
like that.
Yeah, that opens up the second shot so much more. From where Nate landed, he'll probably have to pitch up the fairway and kind of settle for the par, I would imagine.
And it looks like both him and Snappy pull it. Did Paul actually hold the fairway, or did he get a little lucky through the right side?
I was off to the right of the box, so I couldn't see for sure, but I think he snuck just inside the trees on the right, and his disc was on hyzer the whole time, just doing that slow rock hyzer, so it was a pretty safe shot.
And this is where having a forehand is such a huge advantage, because this is such a difficult shot. But what do I know? What do I know? That is a great shot there, James.
Not only a great shot, but that uphill run up, you lose so much accuracy. You
Yeah,
know,
it's
running
tough.
up like that and then to peer that gap, that's just an incredible shot.
And that's a really awesome, that's a fine shot there from Nate. He had to throw off his right foot planted for the forehand, which is such a difficult thing for forehanders to do. Made the angle really difficult, and he opened up the fairway quite a bit there, throwing a hyzer flip with a stable disc. And off the band?
Yeah, Paul's hit the band from there. Blind and hyzer with the same rocky throw off the tee shot, and if he had thrown that in, I don't even know. It just would have been crazy.
I think everyone's brain would have melted.
This is awesome, though, to see you two.
Jeez.
I mean, those two shots that you and Paul threw, those are not easy by any means. So to see you guys, you know, you're going blow for blow at this point. And,
Crunch time.
This is a big putt from about 31 feet. And that is a huge putt in that situation.
My straddles hadn't felt great, but I had to pull it out because of that tree on my left, and I was happy to knock that one down. It was definitely a clutch time.
It was good to see you hold that line, that follow through. You held true to your angle. That's a difficult thing to do when you have that straddle hyzer putt. A lot of times we end up pulling the shot to the right, and that stroke was nice and pure and kept it right there. Huge putt and put the pressure back on Paul. Wow, what an incredible set of birdies there. It's such a difficult hole, and I mean, to see Paul hit the band there on the second shot, I mean, it's just, who's surprised? I mean, no one's surprised to see that kind of stuff from him. It's so exciting.
I found it remarkable. We played the whole 3 down, the whole average 4.34, so we played a whole stroke better than the average on that one.
Yeah, I almost guarantee that there is no other card that was anywhere near 3 down.
And we didn't give credit to James, to Snappy Cole there, who played the hole fantastic as well. I mean, that's got to be the only group that comes through there even close to 3 under. That's awesome. Hole 16, or as I know it, the hole that I take tons of 7s on. Anyways, hole is a par 5, and you get to open up and throw a driver big time here.
It looks like you're going almost a conservative play there.
Whoop,
It
check
kind
out.
of gets a little stiff, but it looks like you took a lot off it to try and make sure you put it in the line.
Yeah, absolutely. I figured the worst thing I could do in that situation is throw OB. The second shot plays so far downhill that even with a moderately safe drive without biting off too much, you can still get a lot of ground covered on the second.
And he's got a lot of height on that. That's going to have to sit.
Yeah, he puts a lot of angle with the sharp edge disc, probably throwing a pretty overstable destroyer there, and that way, you know, if you put a lot of angle with a sharp disc like that, a lot of times you're not going to get that much of a skip.
Even though you both are safe, that is pushing the limits to how far you can use that fairway. So.
It is. You almost have to on this one, though. If you hang it too wide, you can catch the tall stuff coming in, and if you hang it not wide enough, it can easily skip OB left, so it's tough.
It's really difficult to commit throwing your shot really as far right as you need to at this hole, because if you don't ever come back in bounds, you lose so much distance and you're right there off the tee. So to be able to throw the hyzer the way you want to, it really forces you to trust your disc so much.
Nate had a great tee shot there. He played it really safe, just threw something flat, pretty much right along the line, and safely in bounds. Here's my second going down the hill.
And this is like you said, this is an attackable hole here. The safe tee shot really doesn't matter that much as long as you keep it in bounds. That allows you to go big on your second shot. And this hole's actually been eagled 6 times all weekend, I believe.
6 times, and there's also been a handful of penalty birdies. I was able to get one of those earlier in the tournament, so it's definitely threeable, but there's so much OB that you can...
Oh, no, and that just catches that high rough right there at the end. He's going to lose a lot of distance there. That's a huge mistake at this time right now, and that, I don't want to say it takes him out of the hunt, but that...
Definitely hurt his chances.
Yeah, that's going to put him back there because...
I'm going to say it took him out of the hunt.
Yeah.
Because you can't, as a professional, there's one mistake you don't make, and that's going OB right on that hole because you lose so much distance. And with you two being in bounds, that's a crucial mistake.
Paul's the stick back from me right now. I know he's probably going for the green here, or at least trying to give himself a putt for 3.
And he is looking like he's doing that there with a really beautiful shot. But, oh, unfortunately for Paul, he has found the creek. He'll be putting from inside the circle, though, I believe, for his 4. So not necessarily a bad position, but...
Correct, not too bad. I know he would have liked for that to stay in bounds, obviously.
But he's just a few feet short or a few feet long of perfection.
But that's the thing with that hole. I mean, we all know going into that second shot that if you do peer it through those high limbs, you have a shot to go out of bounds. And it's not, like you said, it's not a bad mistake because he has 25 feet for birdie. But kind of tough to get where he got.
And that was a putt for eagle. That'll be an easy tap-in birdie there for James. And not that we'll have anyone... Oh, that needed to go in for his chances to stay alive. And that's uncharacteristic for Paul in that situation.
That really surprised me. It was a pretty routine putt, and really not sure what was going on. I'm surprised he didn't convert there to save the birdie.
You know, just like you said, on the front 9, you had a putt where you were kind of confused whether you were in bounds or something. I'm guessing maybe the same thing happened there with Paul, where he didn't know how he went out of bounds or whatever and just took it for granted.
Yeah, it's easy to let that happen.
And that's a big stroke. I believe that gives you 2 strokes now on Paul.
Puts me 2 up with 2 to go.
2 up with 2 to go. But, I mean, there's...
2 of the toughest holes left, though.
Yeah, 17 and 18. I mean, there's something about playing a course where you know that the finishing holes are like they are here at 17 and 18. Nothing... You can't really predict what's going to happen. There's no way, as Paul has said a couple times, there's no way that you can protect the lead. There's not a safe play on 17. There's not really a safe play on 18. You have to be aggressive. You have to hit your line. And you have to get lucky as well.
There's definitely an element of that.
And there's something about this hole. I mean, it's got the long distance, it's got the tight gap, and you have the winding OB down the middle. I feel like you can have 2 of the 3 of those elements to make a successful hole, but you got all 3 here, so you just kind of have to take what you can get. And you're safe, but not in a great spot.
A little wide, kicked kind of forward left, just barely safe, but up on the hill on the left.
And you're ecstatic, even though you get the kick, to see that green flag.
Green flag is huge right there.
I'm sure you're pumped. And Paul gets the same kick. So
same kick, a little farther forward than I was.
Yeah.
Snappy's going for the same line, the backhand turnover through the gap. Just looks so good out of the hands.
Gosh, just wish...
That same left kick, though, it's such a tough fairway to pure.
I just wish maybe 1 or 2 of those were gone. I mean, if you're going to have this hole be this long and this tight and that crazy OB, I feel like you just got to have something a little bit fairer in terms of letting the disc fly a little bit. And
as we were saying, there's no really spot that you can throw to guarantee to be safe, but I feel like Nate's doing probably the closest thing that you have on the hole, pitching outright with the sidearm. You know, there is a big area over there where he can be safe, but his upshot's going to be incredibly difficult because of where the woods are.
And that's a really smart play, but also so scary. I mean, you have with two to go, yet you know that Paul is probably in a position to get his 3. However, you're not going to give away those 2 on one shot.
Right. I really had nothing but my lie was so far up the hill. I think my foot was almost above my head when I threw that shot. My left foot, I was reached way down the hill, and my only option was just to get a little forward progress and make sure I could secure the 4 and not give it all away at once.
And Nate has gone OB with his second shot, and if his chances at coming back, oh, wow. And that is a huge break there for you.
It was for me a tough break for Paul. He threw a nice looking up shot that just caught that last tree and kicked back OB. So he's looking at a 4. I'm looking at a 4. It's no change there.
Yeah,
And you have to be ecstatic going into hole 18 with a 2-stroke lead, especially a hole like 18 that's just, bogeys are lurking at every corner on that hole.
And even then, 2 I didn't feel like completely safe. Like 2's not a lot. I've seen a lot of numbers on hole 18. I was obviously glad to have 2, but more would have been comforting. 2 wasn't even enough. Knowing Paul is going to bring it on the last hole, he's pretty good at that.
Yeah, and if unfortunately Nate's chances weren't done on the previous hole, they are kind of now with that approach going OB, especially with both of you guys taking 4s there. His chance of coming back was maybe open if you guys could have bogeyed the hole and he could have parred it, and then maybe the next hole something crazy happens. But now it's a 2-man race going into the final hole. We have another signature hole on the course. Incredibly tight tunnel shot over this hill, blind kind of to the landing zone, definitely blind to the landing zone, and then you just have to get good breaks and throw great shots in this hole.
So what's your mindset going into this? Are you going to be aggressive, or are you thinking more putter maybe, or mid-range down the middle?
I was throwing rock on this tee shot all week, and I had hit the line pretty well both days. I didn't want to change it up. I figured I'd just get up there. The best way to secure even a par in this hole is to cover a good bit of ground on the tee shot.
And this is not the kick that you're looking for.
Yeah, it wasn't a terrible throw, but it needs to be pretty much perfect in this hole to get up the fairway.
And Paul's licking his chops. This is a huge opportunity for him to make some ground here, and it looks like he has thrown. That's the best drive that I've seen all weekend.
That was a gorgeous rock shot. He just smashed the rock, almost made it to the mouth, probably 400 plus feet on a rock, on a tight line. It was remarkable. It was, to say the least.
Oh my God. And I mean, the nerves of steel. I mean, how many times does Paul do this? He's right in position. He might not have the lead, but he's right there, plugging away, and then somebody has a lead in the last hole, and then inexplicably something happens, and he just puts himself in position, and he ends up being the winner. I mean, it's just by throwing shots like that in those opportunities, those moments, that's what makes him who he is.
And what are you thinking after he threw that shot? Were you surprised in any way?
I wasn't surprised. I wanted to throw that shot as well and just lock it down. I mean, the shot's there to be thrown, and when it comes time to do it, you just got to step up and do it, and he sure did, but I sure didn't.
And you are in a spot where the only option you really have is the pitch out here, and now you're looking at about, I don't want to say maybe 350, 360 away from the basket.
I'd put it around that range. I had an aggressive option for a forehand, but as you all know, I don't throw a lot of aggressive forehand lines.
Right.
So I just took my medicine, pitched out to the middle where I knew I could have a line at it with my T-bird or just come comfortable with.
And that's a great flick roller approach there from James. He's just outside circle for his putt.
And this is really, the tournament's on the line for you on
it really
shot.
is.
You have to, this is your shot, and that's
wow. That shot is so difficult. You have those 2 trees that are sitting just outside circle 1. You hit those trees, then not only are you have the distance to contend with, but you have the low ceiling as well. And
yeah, I was thrilled to put it under the trees. I thought it got beat down a little early, but when I got up there and saw my disc within about 20, 25 feet, I was definitely happy with that third shot. It was definitely a big one.
And Paul's sitting inside the circle for his putt for birdie. He's a little bit further than you, so if he makes his putt, all the pressure is on you to make the putt for par.
Absolutely.
And here's James' putt for birdie. Oh, just a bit high. That would have been a great way to finish in front of the huge gallery that is collected up here.
And this by no means is an easy putt for Paul. Low ceiling, tailwind.
Yeah, the breeze had picked up by the time we got
Wow.
up there, but he stuck it in there. Too easy.
That's one of the 6 birdies in round 3. There was only 10 birdies overall for the entire week on this hole. And here it is. This is the putt.
When the wind's blowing, you can tell kind of picked up on you guys. And through the wind, right on the hole.
Right on it.
That's so big. I mean, knowing the situation, knowing you have to get your par there, Paul's put the pressure on you. What a huge moment to pick up your first Disc Golf Pro Tour win. You've been there in the mix so many times in the last 2 years. That has got to be the hugest weight. Oh, man, I hate to see that there.
I felt bad for Nate. I think the crowd was still worked up from my putt, and he just really didn't take his time there. But still a great round from Nate. He put together great golf all weekend. It was a lot of fun to see.
And he's keeping a good attitude about it. You know, he's coming into his last round with the lead. He played well. Sometimes the kicks go your way, and at Idlewild, sometimes they don't. But here you are, man, and embracing the moment. It's awesome to see that you finally pulled away with this big win here.
Thank you. Yeah, there you are, giving me a big old hug.
Yeah, man, and well, I'm proud of you. You know, things could have gone either way. We had our battle earlier this year at the Waco, and this time things went your way. And I mean, look at this score, 13 under. How many times in disc golf through 3 rounds do we see a score below 15 under win the tournament? I mean, it's so rare.
That's the first I can think of, pretty much.
Yeah, it's a tough thing to do. Idlewild prides itself on being a tough course, and man, they provided a really challenging track for us to play. Well, congratulations to you, James. I mean, incredible numbers of people showed up out here in Lexington, Kentucky, and a lot of support for you, and congratulations once again. And want to thank Jomez Productions, as always, Overstable Studios, Innova Champion, Disc Golf Pro Tour. Thank you guys for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Continue to do so, and we'll bring you guys the best coverage we possibly can. Thanks again, guys. Hey everyone, I'm Jeremy Koling.
And I'm James Conrad.
Thanks for being Jomez fans. Thanks for tuning in. Leave a comment below. We're going to be giving away a couple discs here. We got Big Germ Recon Mortar.
And I got a Star T-Bird I'm giving away.
And so subscribe to the channel here, leave a comment, and you can get yourself one of these signature discs. Thanks.
Thanks.